Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me for today's training. My name is Kiri Honey, and I am the relationship coach for moms. Today's session is all about the impact that positive self-talk has on your partnership. So, during our training today, I am going to talk about why positive self-talk is important for your relationship, the power of positive self-talk, and 5 practical tips to implement more positive self-talk into your daily life. If you have joining me live and you have any questions, you may do so in the chat, but I will just go through my training session um, as I am going, but feel free to comment and I can answer any questions at the end. So basically, if we want other people to speak to us nicely with kind words, it really means that we need to start with speaking to ourselves in that way. So as we model the behavior that we want around us, then we will start to have more of it. You'll notice that if you speak to your kids with more respect, with more appreciation, they will do the same for you. And it works the same with your partners and with yourself. So you will not only start to see more of it in your surrounding, but you will also have it reciprocated, and you will be more confident in order to like what you will accept and what you will not accept. Because maybe at the moment you allow for people to speak to you in a way that is maybe not as acceptable as you would like it to be. And chances are that you probably speak to yourself that way as well. Maybe saying things like, I can't do that, or I can't think of another example. But the main one is we see that we think that we can't have certain things because of, I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to afford that. I wouldn't be able to whatever, whatever, whatever. But the reality is that if you decide that you're going to do something, you actually can. But you have to start believing that you can. And we're so conditioned to believe that we can't have this, we can't have that because of our circumstances. But that can all change. You can have exactly what you want to be able to have. So let me know in the chat if that resonates with you. What is it that you might be saying to yourself that you don't think you can have? I'd love to get a little bit of conversation going so that I can maybe use your examples as well. Okay. So the power of positive self-talk is linking to what I've just said. You start speaking to yourself in a way that reflects how you want others to speak to you. You want to be treated with respect. Do you treat yourself with respect? You want to be treated with love. Do you treat yourself with love? And it goes on from there, and it continues. So I wanted to share some practical tips for how you can improve your self-talk. Because if you've been treating yourself a certain way for however many years, it is likely impacting your relationships, your communication with others, as well as your communication with yourself. And it's not so easy to just snap your fingers and be different overnight, right? So we need to come up with some ways that you can start noticing how you want things to be and start implementing new ways of being, because I know that phrase, like, you can't teach an old dog a new trick. Well, the truth is you can change when you decide you want to change. So let's talk about that. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to say, I was just seeing my notes. The other thing I wanted to say on the power of positive self-talk is that this has nothing to do with ignoring the negative that's going on in your life. We're not pretending that life doesn't get challenging. Instead, we're just flipping the way we speak to ourselves and the way that we approach challenges. So we want to be more positive, we want to be more productive in the way that we approach these things. Okay, so as a result of speaking to yourself in a more positive way, it actually has the ability to reduce stress and anxiety, increase your happiness, encourage healthy habits, as well as increase self-confidence, which in turn can enhance your psychological and physical well-being, your ability to cope with difficult situations, challenging conversations, conflict as it arrives, as well as your personal relationships and overall performance. So there's a lot of really good reasons why you should improve the way you speak to yourself. And I said I would talk about five practical tips to implement more positive self-talk into your daily life. So I am going to start with treat yourself like you would a friend. So if you wouldn't speak to your friend like, oh, you can't do that, or oh, there's no way you can have that. That's no. Would you say that to your friends? Or do you treat your friends better than you treat yourself? And you treat your friends in a way where you encourage them and support them. And maybe you offer some practical tips. Like maybe you don't encourage them to do all the silly things that they might want to do, but you're still supportive. So pretend that you are your best friend, because, I mean, really, you should be, and treat yourself as such. Be gentle and be encouraging, all right? Same way that you would your friend. Number 2, make self-care a priority. Self-care is so important. And I know so many people are talking about it these days. And you might be like, okay, what even is that? How do I do that? Maybe blah, 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 blah. Okay, so self-care, first of all, is the opposite of self-care. I mean, self-care is the opposite of selfish, all right? Self-care is what rejuvenates you, both mentally and physically, so that you can be your best self for your family, for your partner, for anyone in your life. As we come into this Christmas season, it's so easy to get overwhelmed with doing all the things for everybody else. But remember that if you don't look after yourself first, you do not have the ability, you don't have it inside you to look after everybody else. So before you can even make self-care a priority, you have to know what self-care looks like for you and what's important for you. And a nice way to do that is you can easily book a coffee chat with me and we can figure that out. Because I know from personal experience that it's not always easy to know what it is that lights you up, what brings you joy. Because if you've forgotten about yourself and your self-care for such a long time, how do you know what's going to be important to you? So I can understand that you might approach that with, I don't know what that looks like. And that is totally fair. So before you can even make self-care a priority, figure out what it is that lights you up and brings you joy and do more of that. And prioritize that the same way that you would prioritize feeding your children. Okay? Because it is that important, even though it might not seem like it is. Okay, so that was number 2. Number 3 that I'm going to share with you today is to limit your exposure to negativity. Cut back on the amount of time you spend around it. So it could be exposure to the news. I personally find the news incredibly depressing. And so I just choose not to engage too much with it. There's important things that you might need to know about, but having the news on and watching it every day does not do great things for your mental health or your ability to stay positive. Okay. Also avoid things like doom scrolling. If you are scrolling on social media and just looking for all the negative in the world, stop. And then the other thing is to cut back on time with toxic friends or toxic people or those who cannot escape the negative patterns, those that are constantly saying how bad life is, who always point out the negative things in everything. Because we are a collection of the people that we hang out with. So if we are constantly surrounded by people who are negative and bringing us down, it will have an impact on us. So be aware of who you're spending time with and how they impact your own mental health, your own well-being, and your own ability to stay positive and speak to yourself positively. All right, I'm sure you know who it is that is in your group, your association, that is one of those people. And number 4 is practice gratitude. So I like to start my client sessions with a bit of gratitude. We talk about what we're grateful for today. It helps ground you to focus on all the good, because it is so easy to only see the negative things in our lives. And I reflect on this, and I link it back to when I was teaching, because there was always that 1 or 2 kids in the class that would ruin it for everybody else, right? They were the ones that, well, didn't have the attention at home, needed greater support in the classroom, probably because they didn't understand what was happening and they couldn't control their own feelings. But when you are one person in a class of 30, those 1 or 2 people kind of ruin it for everybody. And when you go home at the end of the day and you're thinking about it, those are the people that occupy your mind. You forget about all, the 28 other amazing kids in the class who were doing all the things and producing excellent work. You focus on that one who said something mean to you, who was just constantly battling, all that kind of stuff. You get where I'm going with this, right? So you can use a gratitude journal, a bit of paper. You could just say it to yourself when you wake up, when you go to bed. I am grateful for some sunshine today. I am grateful for sunshine. After this, I'm going to go take the kids blueberry picking because it is open now here where I am. And we have basically 2 more days of summer before we head to the snow. So we are going to make the most of the sunshine and heat while we've got it. And I am grateful for that because it's been very rainy. So you see how this works. I am grateful for my ability to overcome challenges today. I am grateful for my ability to stay calm in amongst the chaos. I am grateful for my partner who is loving and supportive and maybe stays calm when I whatever. Okay, so those are some examples for you. You obviously come up with your own ones daily as you need them. And let's go with, I've got a few in front of me, but I'm only picking 5 today. We'll go with number 5 as change your vocabulary. So what do I mean by that? How often do you say, I can't? I can't do that. Okay. Whatever you believe, you're right. Okay. I'm sure you've heard that before as well. If you want things to be better, if you want things to be different, you need to start doing things differently. You need to start believing that you can. So replace the words I can't with I can. If you find that hard, have you ever noticed, just a side note, have you ever noticed that you can easily identify the things that you don't want, but you can't really identify the things that you do want? So what if you looked at the list of things that you don't want and you kind of reflected on the opposite of that? So I don't want fatty food in my diet. Sorry, that just like randomly popped into my head. So what's the opposite of that? Healthy food, I guess. You don't want negative people around you. So you want positive people around you. You don't want to be stuck inside all day. So go outside. Okay, so that was like not really on the same path as positive self-talk, but you kind of get what I mean. And I know in some contexts it can be really hard to get yourself out of the I can't and turn it into an I can, because what does the I can look like? So instead, you can say things like, I am learning to. So at the moment, maybe you struggle with that healthy diet, eating healthy daily. I know that's a struggle to not eat chocolate. Yeah, guilty as charged. So I am learning to eat healthier. I am learning to drink more water. I'm learning to address my challenges as they come up. I'm learning to speak my truth. I'm learning to be kind to myself. I'm learning to have open and honest conversations. I'm learning to identify what's important to me. So changing your vocabulary and the way that you approach speaking to yourself, speaking to your loved ones, speaking to your kids, whoever it is that's important to you, it will all be reflected in the way you speak to yourself. So I'll just do a little recap on those 5 things. Was treat yourself like you would a friend, make self-care a priority, limit your exposure to negativity, practice gratitude every day, and change your vocabulary from I can't to I can or I am learning to. That is it for today's session, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a real pleasure to have you here with me today, and I hope you found this helpful. If you would like to chat about how you can overcome some personal challenges and have a better and stronger relationship in 2023, you can book a coffee chat with me at kirihoney.com/coffee chat. Thank you so much for joining me. Whoever you are, I don't see a name. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate you joining in, and you have a happy holiday as well. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.